Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Keeping It Real, and I am your host, Edna White. And I am so glad to be in your presence today with a special guest by the name of, you ready for this? Herbert Burns Jr. And let me just tell you a little bit about Herbert. He has such a long, bio, and he has so much experience. So I'm really excited to hear, what he has to say. But Herbert I. Burns Jr. is an award winning Christian author, artist, architect, public speaker, educator, and international collaborator who is driven by his calling to share God's word through his life experiences and to others as he provides pathways to find a meaningful and fulfilling life for yourself and your loved ones. Mr. Burns received a BA, Bachelor's in Architecture. That's what I like. I want to hear about that. The University of Kentucky in Lexington, Kentucky, and a Master's of Science in Interior Design. Definitely want to hear about that from UNCG in Greensboro, North Carolina. He has 39 years experience in education at the Forsyth Technical Community College and has served as an adjunct faculty at UNCG and Salem College in the Interior Designs Department. He has so many awards and teaching awards that I can hardly get them all in, but I want him to speak. So welcome to the show, Herbert.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet Miss White. I've seen your podcast and the influence you're having on people that you interview in the world. It's really amazing. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. So I want to hear you're my first interior decorator that's graduated in interior design. Excuse me, not interior decorator, interior design. I want to hear about that. I really want to hear about what made you go that way, and just share something about yourself.
Well, that's really interesting because I came to North Carolina in 1975
Okay.
and started teaching architecture there in the
Oh,
in the program
okay.
at the Technical Community College. So for many years, I was involved with technology. Taught the first computer graphics course in the state of North Carolina in the
Oh,
community college system. And I'm
nice.
talking about, I'm going to tell you how old I am. I started teaching before PCs were in the marketplace,
Oh, wow.
computer graphics.
Wow.
So some people might not even know what I'm talking about. But over time that evolved.
Uh-huh.
I had an opportunity as department chairman for architecture, I had an opportunity to start an interior design program. So I wasn't a graduate from interior design yet, but I
Mm-hmm.
started an interior design program because there was a need in the marketplace in our community for
Okay.
architects, interior designers. But then I was involved with technology so much in the programs, I kind of stepped away for after 10 years and started a computer consulting business.
Okay.
After 4 years, I missed teaching, came back to the college, continued
Mm-hmm.
teaching architecture, but interested in technology. I started our first digital effects, animation, and game design program. So,
Wow.
so I started teaching animation and game design. I became dean of engineering, and I really wanted to get that master's degree. You know, you got to build your credentials up, and getting a master's degree is one way to advance. So
Right.
I really was interested in how the interior design process went. And when I started my graduate work, because of my use of technology, I would take an Apple computer with me to my interior design studio. And I
Mm-hmm.
was the only interior design student that had a computer on campus in the interior design program.
Wow.
So I did all my work on the computer. And when I finished my thesis, interesting name for a thesis, my thesis was called The Evolution of a Solution.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And so when I finished my thesis, it was the first thesis at UNCG that had digital content
Mm-hmm.
in the thesis
Oh, wow.
because Yeah, I conducted an experiment on some students using technology.
Hmm.
And as a result, I developed an hypothesis called the evolutionary technological destructionist theory.
Okay. Tell us about that. I like that.
Yeah, and that theory is the more technology advances, the more destructive it can be to us if we let the technology control us
Yeah.
versus us controlling the technology.
Oh, that's good.
So
And
that's
they're
kind of
saying,
work.
they're saying that now, though. They're
Oh,
what you did in the past. They're saying that now.
that was 24 years ago when I did
Yeah,
that.
they're saying that now. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
that's how I, got involved with my interior design degree and
Hmm.
um, had some opportunities to do some things. Never thought I'd be an author, but because of
Right.
failure of something I was trying to do, that led me to be an author.
Hmm. Tell us about your book that you've embarked on. But no, don't tell me about that. I want to know about how do you think this? How do you think your thesis and your idea that you had 25 years ago now can be used in this current I guess climate that we're experiencing with too much information.
Oh, well, you know, as I was going along the path, one of my instructors, I've got so many contacts with people that were involved in technology.
Okay.
Okay, for example, I told you I moved to North Carolina in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my next door neighbor's brother was working at Los Alamos, and I asked him what he was working on. It's a secret area out there. He said,
Okay.
I'm working on a laser project. I said, tell me about it. He said, well, the laser beam I'm working on has a diameter of about 18 inches in
Okay.
diameter. Okay. And I said, wow, what kind of mirror are you using to reflect the light? He said, we're not using a mirror, we're using polished copper. I said, well, how much energy does it take to turn that laser beam on? It's 15 inches in diameter. He says, we
Um,
can't power it continuously. We have to power it in milliseconds.
mhm.
He said, it probably takes enough power to power a town like the size of Syracuse. I said, what? And this is 1975. I said, what in the world are you all doing? He said, we're shooting satellites that are orbiting the Earth in 1975. Okay. Then I had another professor who taught art. He was a physicist, and he
Okay.
he helped. This is leading to a book about technology. So he helped develop the radar protection system for the West Coast when he was a physicist.
Wow.
And he said, Herb, do you know about the radio wave project in Alaska? I said, what are you talking about? He said, there's a location. This is many, many years ago. They have
Hmm.
100 radio towers. I said, well, what are they doing? He said, they're bouncing radio waves off of the ionosphere. I said, why? He said, they can send them all the way around the world. I
Hmm.
said, why are they doing that? To control the climate. I said, what do you mean? He said, if a battle were to break out, they could perhaps create a storm over the battlefield by sending these waves up over there. And oh, holy
Interesting.
moly. So, the book that I did is called The Towers in a World You Could Not Imagine,
Right.
talking about technology way, way in the future
Right.
of how it's controlling us and the population.
Right.
And in that book, there's a secret society called the World Watchers that are watching
Mm.
everything going on. So I'm not going to give everything away, but that's
Yeah.
just
Don't give it all. Do
no.
you think there's world watchers right now? Do you think
Oh,
there's world
absolutely.
watchers?
Yeah, I do.
I
What about you?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
all those that they labeled conspiracy theories were really some truths.
yeah. Well, they say my science fiction book is some of it's not science fiction. They say, but I say,
You're right.
I have to disguise
It's
it.
not.
Yeah, I got to
Uh,
disguise it. Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of whenever we write, writing is very creative. So
Yes.
it's God given, and I think it's the spirit kind of speaking. No matter if you choose fiction or nonfiction or even cartoons or drawing, a lot of it comes from that inner place of the
Oh,
spirit, and it
yeah.
just
Since
it
you
shares.
said God given,
Yes,
that's
it really
kind of how
does.
my writing actually started
Yeah.
because I was trying to build my credentials up in college,
Hmm.
as professors try to do.
Right.
And for 2 years, I was trying to get this really high award credential.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
had to get the president to sign off on it and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Months of work. First year I failed. Being
Uh-huh.
competitive, I said, next year I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
The second year I failed. I got pissed off. I slammed my hands on the desk when I got that notification I didn't make it. I said, God, I give up. I
Right.
said, if it's not your will, it's not going to be done. I said, at
Right.
that point, I got to quit praying, God, what can you do for me? I got to pray, God, what can I do for you?
Right.
And the message I got was to use your talents to spread my word.
Right.
I said, well, I'm a Christian. I go to church, but, I've never read your Bible all the way through.
Uh-huh.
So my first book, Route 66, was my journey through the Bible for the first time,
Oh,
all the way
wow.
through. And when I finished each book of the Bible, I did a real world application. When you read a book, you get a visual image of something in your head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I finished each book of the Bible, I did a painting of that book of the Bible,
Okay.
related to the image that came to mind. So
Wow.
when I finished that book, I said, what's next? And he said, don't you understand? Never stop.
It does
And that
it.
became the title of my next three books, Never Stop.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the next one, but it never does. It doesn't stop because
No,
once the God's creativity starts to flow, it just keeps going and going because you're doing what He wants you to do.
yeah,
The
yeah.
purpose. So
Well,
that's good.
how did you start? What's your journey on how you started this?
So I started, podcasting or writing.
Well, both.
Oh.
I'm interviewing you now.
So I started because I was a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. So I
Mm,
started journaling. I was journaling. And before I knew it, one book, two books, three books, four books. By the time I was 40, I had 20 books written.
wow.
And I just kept creating. I kept writing poetry, and I kept creating things, just creating courses and things like that, and just kept going on and on. So about 43, I finally just I literally published them, put them out, because there were a lot about my journey going through the process of childhood sexual
Well, you'd
abuse.
written all these books, but you hadn't published them?
Right. They were all written.
Wow.
And I had to get because it was about my family, it was about my family, what I went through. And I was afraid, and then finally I stepped out and I did it. And, you know, it was challenging because my family didn't believe me, that it was embarrassing and things like that, but I stood firm to my truth. And literally that particular book, it's called Stuff, the things that no one told us about life after childhood sexual abuse. I wrote that book because I wanted to talk to us adults, because I was an adult when I put it out. And I wanted to talk about that and share with it, but I wanted to write it in a way that they had steps, that this is what I did. Maybe you could try it, this is what I did, and I went to therapy. A lot of it was therapy. A lot of it was, really reflecting and being on the inside and working on myself constantly, so I wrote that book and put it out. And I said, okay, there's a special place for this book. Before I knew it, I think a year later, a school in Germany ordered 10,000 ebooks
Wow.
for college. And
Wow.
I was like floored. That was my first sale. The second time, something exciting happened with that book. It was adopted into this organization called RAIN. It's a rape prevention and sexual assault organization, and they adopted as their preferred reading. So that gave me the incentive to keep writing. And I just kept writing and writing. So uh, just recently, I got with a publisher. Publisher reached out to me actually happened in 2019, and they wanted me to curate a book with all these women that wrote about their trauma. And it was my first royalty book. It was my first book that I received royalties from. And I said, great. these women, 25 women over the course of COVID, two of which passed away because of COVID. We had people in India, Australia, some in the US, some in New York. We had like 25 women write their stories for the first time and shared them with me. And that's the result of this book here. So that was a bestseller for 2 weeks in November, on November 10th, when we first put it out, 2021. And I keep writing. I mean, when I think I want to say I started this podcast in 2018, and because I was using it as a venting thing, I was talking to people. Yeah, people were coming up, and then I saw that I had started a magazine that I wanted to support all of the debut authors or the debut poets, and people started writing in and wanting to put their piece in, and by that time it was overwhelming. I was getting over 50 submissions, and I was like, it was getting overwhelming. I couldn't produce all of them, and I said, okay, how can I transform this? So after it became part of Amazon's preferred reading list, I switched it and I changed it over to a podcast, and it just went crazy after that. And we've been in Amazon X for it to be on their platform when they opened up their platform. And you can ask any of the like Siri, Alexa, they'll play all the podcasts on there. So I've been on there for a while. Just recently, I switched from Spotify to Red Circle, and we were getting like 10,000, downloads. We are now at 47,000 downloads, which is amazing. Each episode, about 800 each one, which is amazing. So it's exciting to hear that, when I have the episodes on, it's exciting to see that, and it's just growing exponentially. But I know I'm not supposed to be talking about me. I just thought about this. Herbert, you just tricked me.
We have some things in common with some of our books, because my second book talks about my journey in life, where some things happened to me as a young boy.
Okay.
And I had to go live with my aunt and uncle for 3 years. Okay. And then eventually we went and lived with my grandparents. But that story's in the book. And what was interesting about the story of my second book is that there were 3 words that came to mind that changed people's lives. Wow. And those 3 words are ask, discover, and share.
Oh, that's good.
So have you asked somebody to do something that's changed their life? Has somebody asked you to do something that's changed your life? Have you discovered something in your life that has been transformative? Mm-hmm. If those things have happened, what are you doing to share, to influence others in your life? So that book also has stories of other people, of how those 3 words, ask, discover, and share, has been transformative in their lives as well. And then from there, I went to Never Stop Teaching and Leading to help heal our nation. Right. Because there's some crazy things going on with what's being taught these days.
Yeah.
And I talk about what we need to teach in the home, in the workplace, in our faith. Mm-hmm. And the book also has a history of our republic from 1776 to 2020.
Okay.
Every 20 years, it highlights the 10 most significant things that happened to our republic. We're talking about slavery, Civil War, technology, education, ministry, the 10 most important things that took place in our country. And then there's stories from presidents and CEOs of other businesses sharing their teaching and leadership skills.
Nice.
In that book. So that kind of got me hooked up with a group of men that were going to Ukraine teaching business classes. So they would teach finance, human resources, marketing, and strategic leadership. Okay. Each class lasts a week. So I would teach a marketing and leadership class.
Okay.
for half a day to Ukrainian business people.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome. That's really
yeah,
awesome.
and then after that half day, we would go to their businesses and see how their
Hmm.
businesses are operated and try to make suggestions for them on ways to improve the quality of their businesses in Ukraine. And
Wow,
then,
that's great.
when the war broke out, we had to change our schedule a little bit. So this last November, we
Uh-huh.
went over just to follow up on some of our former students that we had to see how we could help them out
Hmm.
in the crisis situation that they're in.
Right. What's one out of all the leadership that you ever taught? What's one significant piece of information or a tip or that you could offer to the audience that is really necessary for the home, for the workplace? What's one significant for each spot? Let me just say
Yeah,
that.
that's a really good question. I'll share two thoughts with you. Number
Okay.
one is, as a young boy, I will never forget what my grandfather told me one day. He said, "Herbie, I want you to remember this:
Hmm.
can't never could do anything.
Oh, that's good.
So if you say you can't do something, you're never going to do it.
Right.
If you fail, that's okay. At least you say I tried to do it. So
Right.
don't take the position where you can't do something. Remember,
Right. Right.
can't never could do anything."
That's good.
And the other thing is in the marketing classes that we would teach, we asked them define, create a definition of marketing. So the simple definition is find a need and fill it.
Oh, that's good too.
So
That's really good.
as you're maturing, uh, in whatever profession you're in,
Hmm.
find that need and fill that need and conquer that mountain. So
Right.
when you get to the top of that mountain,
Yes.
you're going to look around and you're going to see the next mountain that you want to get on.
That's good.
So don't say you can't do it. Find the need, fulfill the need, and then be the leader that you're supposed to be.
Well, that's great. That's good stuff. So, I know that you had, you wrote the book, Route 99,
Route
16,
66. Yeah,
66. Now I'm
66
thinking
books in the Bible.
99.
Yeah.
What am I? I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm hungry.
Some people say, "Oh, I've been down Route 66." I said, "No,
Yeah.
that's the highway. I'm talking about 66 books in the Bible." Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, which one was your favorite? Your route. Which one was your favorite?
Well,
I know they were all favorites, but like which
yeah.
one?
Well, it's in the book of John.
Okay.
And the painting that I did in that book for the book of John is the Last Supper.
Okay.
And the world application is how to find salvation in your life.
Okay.
That's the greatest takeaway.
Okay.
That's the most important takeaway.
From the picture. So how you find salvation in your life? So how do you?
It's simple as ABC.
Okay.
You ask for forgiveness. You
Right.
believe that Christ is the Savior, and you
Okay.
confess your sins and say, I believe you. I want to go to heaven. You're my
Okay.
Savior. So simple as ABC.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. And where do you're now doing something locally, or are you doing groups and things in locally, or you're
Well,
traveling
yeah,
the
yeah.
world?
As a matter of fact, I'm a co-host of an international podcast
Gotcha. Okay.
called Three Men for Thee in the
Okay.
realms of politics, prophecy, and the supernatural.
Oh,
And to my
that's good.
surprise, we have a listening audience in over 25 countries around the world.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
great. That's really
yeah.
great. What made you, put that together, or were you asked? How did that happen?
Well, that's a good question. My Sunday school teacher came to me one day, and he knew about my technology skills.
Uh-huh.
He said, "Herb, I got an idea for a podcast. I need your help because you know how to put videos together. You know how to edit, film and all this other stuff.
Well, there you go.
Will you work with me and let's see if we can get this thing going?"
Uh-huh.
So our very first interview, have you ever heard of C.L. Bryant? He produced a
Yeah.
movie. He's a black pastor, and he produced a movie called Runaway
Oh
Slave.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yes.
CL was our very first interview on our
What?
podcast. Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
then later he was our 100th. So we returned back. He was our 100th podcast.
That's really good. That's
Yeah.
excellent. What season are you on, by the way?
We're at 2.5. We're not nearly as close to the number of podcasts that you have. We just have done.
Just
We just have
asking.
done episode 127 today.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Have you? Can you share any part, like one of your specialties besides Pastor Bryant? Besides him, is there anybody that's special to you from your podcast interviews?
Oh, we've got just so many. You ever hear of Leo Terrell?
No.
Okay. We interviewed. You ever hear Gary Chapman? He wrote a book called The Five Love Languages. Okay.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
interviewed him.
Yeah. Uh,
Wow. Okay.
we interviewed Rafael Cruz, who's Senator Ted Cruz's dad. He came to
Mm-hmm.
America from Cuba.
Okay.
We interviewed a really interesting man, Tim Purvis, and he had an out of body experience. Uh, he was suspended above hell, looking down at hell,
Mm-hmm.
and he describes what hell looked like to him.
Oh nice. Oh
So
wow.
he's one of the
That
guys
was intense.
we interviewed also.
Mm-hmm.
And
That
just
was intense.
recently, we interviewed a gentleman who's working on a project called Project 316.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2025, 316 is going to happen on March March the 16th, which is going to be a Sunday.
Right.
So right now, over 20,000 churches have signed up to preach John 3:16
Oh,
on that Sunday.
interesting. Oh, like a theme. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's really good. Like a theme. That's cool. That's really great. That's
Okay,
really great.
since you're on, I'm going to do something with you here.
Okay.
We're going to see how this works. Just a second. Let me see if I can pull this up. So my next book coming up
Okay.
uh, is called "A Route Could Lead the Way," and it's going to have 100 quotations, and each quotation is going to have an application. So what I want you to do is I'm going to give you your quote for the day.
Okay.
So I want you to tell me a number between 1 and 100. Pick a number.
I started 98.
Oh man, you're going all the way to the end, aren't you?
It just came right to me.
All right, I got to get down here to the end.
I'm writing it down now. Go ahead.
All right, 98. I got 95, 98. Okay, your quote for the day.
Okay.
That's really appropriate. Never stop teaching and leading.
Okay. I am writing that down. Oh
We're
wow.
being taught and led by someone or something every day in our life,
Uh-huh.
whether we're watching the news, reading, talking, or taking a class.
Yes. That's
So,
great.
so that's going to have 100 quotations.
That is so good. Thank you. I want to thank you for that. I think I love what you're doing. I will tell my audience, you see, no matter what age you are, you can keep learning. That's the key to all of this, is to keep learning
Your
and
education never stops.
never stops. And I often get clients who say that, oh well, I'm technologically what is that word they use? Whatever. They don't have the ability to set up a web page. I say you can learn. It takes patience, and
Yeah,
we can learn.
yeah,
Listen, I didn't think I was going to be what I was doing, and you can learn. You can
yeah.
learn if you're willing to learn,
Well,
and
if your
you're
listeners
showing that.
want some more information, my website's easy to get to. It's just herbburns.com.
There you go. It's so
Herbburns.com.
easy. Isn't that great?
And there's I used to mentor high school Hispanic boys, so there's
Okay.
free Bible lessons you can download there for free.
Okay.
Um, and you can get access to the podcast and see about the books. There's videos on the books too, video
Okay.
clips. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, Herbert, I really appreciate you being here today. And audience, I
Well,
hope you
thank you.
got something from what was said. And I'm going to take my saying, never stop teaching and learning and leading.
Yeah. Never stop teaching and leading. That's your quote.
Teaching
99.
and leading. That's for me. And I'll probably have it put up here somewhere on my wall here. But I think that's really apropos for me. And
It
we want to
is.
thank you for being here
Well, thank
today.
you.
We want to
It's
thank
an
you,
honor.
audience, because you could be any other place, but you are here with us today 4 times today. And thank you so much for being here. This is Edna White, your esteemed host, and my esteemed guest, Herbert I. Burns Jr., saying goodbye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.